If you are going to Portugal for the first time, here are the 10 things you must know before you go. Oh, yes! Do not wear high heels here. Wow, it's really narrow. First and foremost, let's talk about getting around. If you're going to Portugal for the first time, I'm sure Lisbon is part of your itinerary. And here's what you should know about Lisbon. It's not only a hilly city, but its streets are made of slippery cobblestones. And what that means to you is that you need proper shoes. Avoid high heels and shoes with no grip. In my opinion, Lisbon is one of the most walkable cities in Europe. It's small, it's well connected, it's also well guided. Signs like these are everywhere. I love getting lost in cities like this. So I hope you take advantage of the walkability of Lisbon by bringing the right shoes. If you are planning to drive, you need to know that some streets in Lisbon and adjacent cities have very narrow roads. This is the smallest road we've ever been. If you're a beginner driver like me, don't even think about renting a car other than compact size. I wouldn't recommend renting a car unless you have plans to go other cities and regions other than Lisbon and Sintra. If you're planning to visit Sintra, which is another major sightseeing town, you can always take a train. It's the hassle-free and economical way to travel. To learn more about the Sintra day trip, please click the link above. Now, if you have plans to visit other cities and regions, which I highly recommend, you can always rent a car when you are in Lisbon. Here's an obvious but important tips about renting a car in Lisbon. Don't be shy about taking a bunch of photos of the vehicle that you're renting. So what happened to us is that when we returned our rental car, they claimed that there was some minor damage done by us, which wasn't true. Good thing is though, I took millions of photos. One of the photos showed that the minor damage that they claimed that we made was already there when we were doing the walkthrough. And I don't think they were trying to rip us off or anything, but it can be simply that the staff who checked us in probably didn't bother to write down the minor damage in the report, and the staff who received the car probably pays more attention to details. The moral of the story is always do your own due diligence, because it's always better to be safe than sorry. As for the driving rules, it's pretty standard, except there are a few things that I want to give you a heads up on. In Portugal, each lane has different speed limits, and some lanes have this arrow mark to help you keep the desired distance from the vehicle in front of you. That's smart. We should have that in the US too. Another thing to note is that not all signs on the road are written in English. It's not something to be panicked about, but it's definitely a good idea to have a GPS on throughout the entire trip so you don't rely on the road signs. That being said, don't forget to pack some car accessories that are necessary to set up a GPS in the rental car. Now, let's move on to eating culture in Portugal. If you are traveling from America, the first question that pops in your head might be, should I tip? You don't have to. It's not expected like it is in the US. However, if you like to tip, I believe 5 to 10% tip is common in Portugal. That being said, there's an extra cost to dining in Portugal, and that is the cost for bread basket. And they are called Couvert, and they are just a couple of euros. Personally, I think it's a great system because you don't waste the food and you pay for what you exactly want. Also, in many restaurants in Portugal, they take the bread basket to another level by offering unique butters such as hibiscus and truffle, and sometimes olives and other great starters. They make sure the few dollars that you spend on Couvert is worth the money. Another thing that came to me as a bigger surprise in Portugal was The people in Portugal like to take their time when eating, especially during the dinner hours. And making a reservation is more common than not in Portugal. So I went to a fado restaurant, which is a restaurant offering live music of fado genre. And here's the thing, when I go to a jazz bar / restaurant in the US, I know that I am booking a table for a certain time slot. Let's say if I book a table for 6 p.m., I know that I should leave before the next time slot begins. In Portugal, at least in my own experience, when you book a table for dinner, it seems like you are kind of booking for the entire night. It was quite a cultural shock because I originally made a reservation at 6 p.m. and then I moved my reservation to 8 p.m. when I learned that the live performance begins at 8. It turns out I never had to because I could have started my dinner at 6 and probably stay until the end of the show, which was like 10 p.m. Here are the final 3 things you should know to travel well in Portugal. Number 1, beware of seagulls. Lisbon is a coastal city. As you get closer to the water, you will see more and more seagulls. Most of the time, they are harmless, except if you're holding a pastel nata like this to get a great Instagram photo, they're gonna snatch it out of your hand and they will not care if they cut your finger or something. I don't know if you noticed, but in my Lisbon food video, when I was talking about the pastéis de Belém, I kind of looked a little bit uneasy. What happened is the beak of the seagull cut a little bit of my finger, which wasn't a big deal. However, a little bit traumatizing. Second thing is, every restaurant I've been to in Portugal had these beautiful and distinctive cutleries. Later I found out there is a Portuguese cutlery brand called Cutlery, and they are very popular worldwide, and you can find Cutlery in Lisbon. If you've been wondering what is there to buy as a nice souvenir, Cutlery might be a great option. If you are interested in shopping, you need to bring your luggage. I believe you cannot carry knife and fork in your carry-on or your personal bag. Last but not least, check out the opening hours of restaurants, stores, and museums. Like many other European cities, many restaurants and places in Lisbon close 2 to 4 days a week. Also, do not rely on Google info. The best way to find out whether the restaurant or store is open or not is by calling them.
Yeah, under construction.
We found 4 restaurants on Google. They're supposed, yeah, they should be open, but in reality, they're all closed. If you like this video and found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. My name is Juhi and I'm a traveler and New Yorker, and I'm all about helping you plan your best trip overseas. If you are a traveler like me, please subscribe to this channel and start planning your next trip. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in a new video.